It's good you point that out because that was what they found success on. Now the Unicorns, they have one last trick
Woo!
in their
Okay.
pockets. We got a Nidalee for Xerxes.
Wow, okay, Xerxes showing the Nidalee first time this split. He gets to play it. Wants to try and see if he can shut down Sejuani early. Counter jungle is the focus for him. With the LeBlanc in the mid lane, of course, applying early pressure. But as we said earlier in this champ, so like the Unicorn Solov's team fight is nowhere near the same as we saw in the last game where they had the choke and the Twitch. This is actually a much harder comp to play, extremely difficult to be honest, to execute with the LeBlanc and Nidalee combination around the mid lane. And their late game team fighting, it is not even close to what Splyce is bringing.
I feel like the Unicorns pulled a switcheroo. They, showed what they could do in the last game with a solid late game team fighting comp and Splyce. They decided to build just towards that occasion, but the Unicorns, they're going to have to do some things early here if they want to take this game. Now they do have some breathing space. Even if they lose this, there's of course going to be a game number 3. The Unicorns, they don't want to settle for that as the coaches shake hands, walk off the stage. It could be the final time today that we see that happening in Splyce. They have built themselves some late game monster fighting. And if they do end up meeting in the mid lane, as you say, Deficio, it's going to get bloody once again. But the Unicorns, they may get their start off a little bit earlier with a Nidalee in the jungle, a LeBlanc in the mid lane. The Unicorns are going to look to go from 0 to 60 real fast this game. And I can't wait to see what happens. Can Splyce slither away from a defeat here and take down the Unicorns of Love in the late game? Will the UOL charge down Deficio? That's what I want to find out.
Xerxes do something on Nidalee. It's the first time he's playing it here in 2017. We have not seen this champion from him. I wouldn't say Nidalee is his style, but at the same time, power farming and trying to deny enemy jungle camps is something he's tried to do on other champions beforehand, but he typically just tries to farm his own jungle quite a lot, gets super strong for team fights. That's not what you do on Nidalee. You gotta be very proactive by getting a big lead against the enemy jungler. And of course, against a tank like Sejuani, it is possible, but it is somewhat Xerxes' style, but I wouldn't exactly say it's his play style.
Well, I think for the Unicorns, maybe they've been taking notes. We're in an LCS prior to Rift Rivals, of course. Mike Young, who showed a lot of the European junglers who's boss at Rift Rivals, playing that Nidalee over in NA. Perhaps Xerxes has been watching a little bit. We'll see what he's able to do. I mean, this is a challenge for him. We've talked at length in the last game, especially about how Xerxes has struggled in his second split here. He was the spring split rookie. He was the man.
Think after Rift Rivals, it is worth adding right there, or during Rift Rivals and after Rift Rivals. I think at the start of the split, he was doing more than fine in the jungle, but again, when everyone else started playing his style of the big farming junglers who would get strong for team fights, well then he had to try and adapt and do something different. He tried the Elise, didn't really work for him. The Kayn last game was good, was banned away this one, and now we get to see Nidalee, which can fit the Kayn early game style a little bit, where you want to try and use your mobility again to deny enemy camps away from the enemy jungler, but it is not a strong team fighter. You are sitting very far back in the fights as Nidalee. It's all about long-range spears and your heal in the late game.
Not the only thing long range in this game.
Oh no, there's an Azir.
Poking on the Exile. Yeah, we have not seen the Azir a whole lot, and it's exciting on patch 7.15. With those buffs, of course, the Sand Soldier damage.
That's the thing. The W from Azir in the late game is better. It is now the base damage up to 195. It was 170 before. Remember, guys, this is for all the soldiers. So it is actually a very impactful buff. And the other thing Azir brings that is so key and why he's good right now is he's fantastic against tanks. Because he's standing with long range and his ulti. Actually, see bot lane, some trading.
Okay, they get the stun off. Winter's Bite. Samix at half his health right now. And 2 exhausts were spent, of course, followed up by the heal of Samix. So that is a summoner spell win for the Splyce boys. Kabi leading the charge down there. But of course, Samix and Hill is saying, very familiar situation to be playing back in the lane as Exile goes in, steps up for the bird. Does take a lot of damage from the soldiers on the way out.
So what you see Senkooks do here is he has one soldier where Exile is jumping from with Distortion, places another soldier where Exile arrives, and then Exile has to decide, do you want to get hit by the one right in front of Senkooks, or do you want to jump back to your previous location and get hit by the old soldier already placed by the Azir? Senkooks feeling fine in this lane here.
He's rooted up. Okay, Exile does manage to pull a trick, dodging out. And Senkooks, this is a very comfortable champion for him. You have to go back in the day and kind of remember, but when he was playing Azir, he had a pretty solid win rate on it. overall. He just did quite a lot of damage, I think, in those team fights. And that might have been back in the Senkux or Bust days, of the early days of Splyce.
Yeah, I mean, he's always favored the kind of late game carries in the mid lane. At least if we go back, you know, to previous splits. I think this split he's actually found the most success on like roaming champions. The Talia is a good one.
Aurelian Soul.
Aurelian Soul was actually really good when he played it. I really wanted to play it again, but he refused to do it. Exile is hiding though in his brush.
Okay, dashing in, chains on at point blank range this time. Gets the trade out and forces out the barrier. Of course, Exile's playing a very dangerous game. He's low on the health bars and low on the mana himself.
There's a few wards though around Exile to actually spot if Trashy is here on the Sejuani. But Trashy, he's back in base, baby.
Yeah. And of course, so is the Nidalee. I mean, Xerxes, is he going to try and move into that enemy jungle like you suggested, or is he actually going to try and snowball a lane?
Well, he was in there, did steal away a few minions
Sure, we got a couple.
from Trashy, but not enough to get a big advantage. And with Nidalee, you can actually go to a lane and try and snowball them if the lane is pushing, because your tower dive, if you can land that long-range spear from over the wall into then a quick execute, is pretty effective, but it requires your lane to already have a bit of pressure very often when we see it. And the Maokai versus Cho'Gath is not going to be an easy lane for Nidalee to try and snowball. Bot lane, there's a Braum with his shield, which is kind of one of the big counters to Nidalee specifically. So it is actually very, very difficult for Xerxes to snowball a lane in this game. It's more about him being the selfish jungle.
Let's see if he's able to get it done. Now, one lane that is pushed up right now is going to be the mid. Senkux with a wave of minions trying to push Exile back. Freshly backed from base, gets himself that second ring. Of course, Senkux has a few of his own with the Dorans. Throws the chains, not going to land. Doesn't matter too much. And of course, back and forth in the mid lane are all well and good. But there's a jungle fight unfolding here. Spear lands onto Trashy.
All right, 1-0 Xerxes.
Yeah, he's got a level advantage too. I don't know if he fancies that fight. Down to the bottom though, things are starting to heat up just a little bit. Stuns back and a root on Mickey X as well. Zamix fancies his chances to keep moving forward, but Hylissang's a little low. Not going to go for it.
So everything is still sitting at 0-0. Trashy really wants this Gromp Pyra. Xerxes really wants the same Gromp, which is what you want to do in Italy.
Yeah. Oh, ooh.
Oh, misses that one.
Gromp dodges the spear.
All right, Gromp, fancy feet.
All right. I mean, this is a very tense early game, right? Because the teams are going to be poking around each other, trying to find little edges here. Obviously, we have to remind ourselves of the high stakes. Playoffs, the seeding, it's very important for both these teams to try to avoid some of the stronger opponents by getting a better seed. They can all still contend for first, technically.
That is true. Whoever wins this one, chasing H2K, Mickey right there. Ended up having to shield the wrong way. Trashy getting denied. Another camp right there. Xerxes pushing him out of his own jungle. There you guys see the standings in Group B.
Very close race right now.
H2K with the 8 wins. Unicorns and Splyce with 7. I feel very confident saying whoever loses this series will not be able to get H2K's first place, but obviously mathematically it could still be possible. But I mean,
H2K is going to have to lose to some of the weaker teams. I mean, a lot of stuff has to happen. It's much less likely. Remember, we could very well be deciding the first seed of Group B with the Unicorns Love versus H2K at the end of the week, but we're still in this game.
Yeah, let's follow Xerxes in what he's been doing right here. He's stopped Trashy from doing Gromp. He then pushed Trashy away from his wolf camp. He had to give up the Raptors though. There were some camps behind him to kill, and Exile is fairly low in the mid lane as well, so he couldn't really provide a whole lot of backup.
Oh, he's still very low. Mickey was hunting him. I mean, the thing is, he's doing a lot here. He's stopping Trashy. He's slowing him down, and Splyce want these late game fights. Is this going to be enough?
It needs to be for Unicorns of Love. If they go into late game team fights, even in gold, then Splyce will win these fights here. But let's see now. Senkux had to use his flash in the lane, and he's currently sitting a bit down in CS, so some pressure being applied by Exile. But Senkux feels that as long as he's getting enough farm, actually kind of the same for Trashy, then Splyce can hold on. And again, I think this is literally just a reaction to Splyce saying, okay, Unicorns, you're just going to play 5-on-5 team fights. We're going to draft a better late game comp, and then we have to sacrifice early game a bit and kind of rely on Unicorns not executing their early game to perfection, and can't really fault Splyce for the change in game plan because it actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, banking on the Unicorns not having the greatest early game is one of the more secure bets you can make in the European LCS. Unicorns of Love, though, they do have this gold lead for the time being. Of course, still no first blood. It's just been teams poking around the map, trying to take things away from each other. And of course, the top swap means the dual laners are up there, and the Cho'Gath and Maokai will meet down bottom.
So right now, Xerxes is about 1 level ahead of Trashy. Xerxes will kill this camp up here in the top lane, and then he will get to level 7 when Trashy will reach level 6. Obviously, the Sejuani level 6 is a big spike for her specifically if she is looking to join any fights. But Xerxes is currently winning.
Ooh, Senkux dashing out. Exile, he wanted to dish that damage. Now, could be very well one of those games where we see solo kills in the middle.
But it's very important what Exile is doing. Again, double Dark Shield for extra sustain. He wants to trade with Senkux over and over, so Exile gets to push in his lane. Because this means Xerxes can then invade into the enemy jungle because he knows Exile can join and fight 2v2 first before Senkux can arrive. Azir do not want to fight this early on. He wants to just farm. Exile wants to fight, so the combination of the Nidalee LeBlanc, while it can be hard to execute, is extremely strong if you get early advantages. Look at this bottom lane here. Xerxes is actually moving all the way down to try and gank.
Happen. Okay, here come the kittens, and they got double root on Wonder a little bit low, and Xerxes wants to tag his way in for the Cho'Gath. No! The Ice Bullet comes out. Glacial Prison stops him up for just a second, but he flashes, he dashes, and the minions finish the job. It's first blood over to Xerxes. The spear dodged away from by Trashy.
Unicorns of Love, they saw that this lane was pushing really far forward towards Vizicsacsi, and then suddenly there's a Sejuani down there. They react, they go down, get a kill. Top lane, there's some trading. No one is going to die though, but Xerxes getting first blood already ahead on this Nidalee. What a great start for him.
Exactly what he wants. Oh, Senkux.
Well, late barrier.
Yeah, just a little bit late, so that's burned. He's still low, gonna have to back away, and Exile continuing to push. So the Unicorn strategy seems to be working for the time being. It's early in this game, but they have a 2,000 gold lead. It's about to be more with first tower blood.
And it's working because Xerxes is doing a lot of work right here. And Exile is doing work in the mid lane. Let's not forget him when he's actually doing really well, because we always point out when he's dying. Let's talk about him actually dominating his lane at the moment, applying pressure, allowing Nidalee to move into the jungle like we see here, allowing Xerxes to come in behind Wonder and Trashy in the bottom lane. This all starts with the mid laner having push to set up your jungler to play aggressive, and down the bottom lane in the 2v2, it's a early game Cho'Gath and a Sejuani. That means it's definitely in favor of the Nidalee in this skirmish here, and it is a great start for Unicorns of Love in their early game. Much stronger early game than we're used to seeing from Exile specifically, but from Unicorns of Love as well as a team.
But that's encouraging for the Unicorns, right? For a long time, especially post-Rift Rivals, the critique had been, well, all the teams that got dumpstered at Rift Rivals, they came out, they looked a little stronger. G2, Fnatic, they were improving week over week. We weren't seeing this out of the Unicorns of Love. And it looks like things are starting to change, and just in time for playoffs. If you can get yourself that first seed, very important. Unicorns looking at that growth right now as Exile continues to keep the pressure on Senkux in the mid.
It is so rough now for Senkux in this matchup. He's not going to get any help from his own jungler, and even the Braum can't do that much to try and shut down Exile here with his mobility. If Unicorns of Love can keep getting the 2v2 lane in the top lane, then Xerxes can keep playing aggressive together with Exile near the mid lane, and that's perfect for Unicorns of Love. Keep shutting down Trashy. Senkux trying.
Try for the shuffle, but he's going to have to put the cards back in the deck. Oh, here we go. Wonder comes in on that Cho'Gath. LeBlanc is silenced, forced to flash away. Hylissang coming to the rescue a little bit too late, but he does make it out.
They get a flash at least from Exile, and he's fairly low as well.
Ooh, gotta be careful with those sand soldiers. They hurt.
They do hurt. So he'll go back to base, buying a bit of time for Senkux. Unicorns of Love as well have to then respect up in the top lane. But the mid laner is basing, but there is TP on Exile in case a fight happens in the side lane. He can join instantly.
Yeah, and they have push on all three lanes right now. Even though the Unicorns have been pushed back on the top side, they still have the pressure. You can see what Chachi's doing down at the bottom versus Wonder, keeping that Cho'Gath nice and locked up.
And Exile returning to the mid lane instantly with his own teleport, keeping the pressure on Senkux. Want to keep this Azir down 61 CS to 87 on Exile. And this again means Unicorns of Love have pushed in multiple lanes. Chachi pushing, Exile pushing all the time. Samux and Hylissang as well, trying to get the push against Mickey and Kobe. And Splyce, because they have a Sejuani, can't really help any lanes at the moment.
Oh, the two chains, and Senkux, he's dashed out. Trashy tags his way in, and so does Mickey X, but not that much damage threat here. Exile is having a ball right now. Working to complete that Gunblade, going to be even more of a threat. And of course, Samux and Hylissang, they get to free push top now.
Yeah, exactly. No one can defend because one guy is back in base. Actually, two guys right now for Splyce is back. Both Wonder and Senkux. Unicorns of Love, man. They're going to get another tower. And I don't think their turrets have taken any damage so far. Xerxes even gets a Rift Herald, 2 levels above Trashy. Just to say Trashy levels up to level 8, so 1 level still, 1.5.
And yeah, a little bit of change, right? So they have the Rift Herald. They can look to start knocking down the mid as well.
And you know what, Pyre? You know what Azir's worst enemy is? It's the Rift Herald. Because if you are Azir and you lose your mid tower early on in the game, oh man, life sucks. You can't move anywhere because you can't blindly face check the LeBlanc at any point. So you're just stuck sitting really far back in your mid lane, trying to hold the tier 2 tower, and you can't assist your team, and this mid lane tower is already taking damage, that Rift Herald will just kill it.
Yeah.
And then Senkux, he's gonna struggle to have an impact.
Yeah, that does suck. Now, there is one silver lining, though. Oh, as he looks to go in for the shuffle, it's difficult to do. There's one silver lining to Fischio, to losing that tower early on.
Okay.
You get to use your Sun Disc.
You do. That's true. You can keep the lane
It's the best ability for
a little bit of time.
Yeah.
That is true. Once that runs out, life sucks again.
Yep.
But I guess, yeah, being positive, it is true.
You got to be positive. You can't be doom and gloom all the time.
No. I will say, though, Senkux is doomed.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, dodges the spears, but he can't dodge all the point and click. We've seen this so many times now. Forced to back away. It's 14 minutes on the clock. Only one kill in the Unicorns' pockets, but those 2 towers, the farm advantages, what they've done in this early game is incredible, and it's meant that they have such a large gold lead, 4,500.
Gotta use that Rift Herald to get this mid lane tower.
I think they're about to do it.
It is perfect. Well, Xerxes is pretty far in the lane. They might try to save it.
Chachi's here too.
Oh, they're setting up a potential dive.
Boy. Grasping kittens. And they don't even need the Rift Herald.
Love it. What a great play here from Unicorns. Moving in Chachi, zone them up with the ulti from Maokai. Get this tower without using the Rift Herald, and we are sitting with a 5,000 gold lead at 14 minutes for Unicorns to love. I don't think I've seen that even once here in the Summer Split. They're dominating this early game, and Splyce with the very, very slow lanes, they're getting punished.
And this is all the more impressive when you consider that this was such a difficult composition to execute. Now, obviously, they have to finish this out strong, Divicio, but you were saying to yourself in the pick and ban that this is risky. The Unicorns of Love, they've never been what you would call risk-averse. It seems to be working.
It's true, but some of the other times when they've tried to play early game comps, like it backfired pretty hard. I'm just really happy to see it work for them. Yes, again, they're not really getting pressure because everything on Splyce is just pure scaling that doesn't want to do anything in the early game. So obviously when you have so many lanes, you can't really do a lot early on, then it makes it easier to play this early game comp. But the fact that Unicorns are executing it right now is a good thing to see.
Yeah, it's looking great for them right now. They keep this gold lead rolling in Splyce. They're just looking to hang on.
Hey.
And there's your fun disc. It's great. I don't think it's going to last very long, though.
No, I don't think it's going to do anything.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's why it's called a fun disc, not a value disc.
Fine, I'll give you that one.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been working on that one. All right, well, at least Senkux can get himself a blue buff, but I mean, he's in trouble right now. He's only sitting on the Stinger, a couple of rings, and you could see that Splyce are in a defensive mindset. It's League of Merc treads right now in this entire game, but, you know, 3 on the side of Splyce at the moment, just trying to slip out, save themselves from some of that magic damage, and yeah, down goes the disc.
So what Xerxes has been doing right here after he picked up the Rifter was he kept it. He didn't want to use it. He's been sitting on it. He's been using it, of course, for the faster recall as well, to just rush back to base. And then he's actually just been trying to play this super like high tempo game. But it is running out soon. You got to place it very, very soon here as well, Xerxes. Otherwise, it will just disappear.
Yeah, you can't have your pet crab forever.
Let's see how long
you got to give it up
on it. Just about like what, 15 seconds at this point.
Are they looking to set up a play? Chachi's actually backing in this brush right here. The Unicorns, no, Chachi's going to move down. There are no outer turrets for them to do, so might as well pop it in the mid.
Last 5 seconds. Xerxes uses it. Felt like he got all the value he needed, and now he can try and get some damage on the mid lane tower. They're protecting the wave when pushing down. We'll get a full charge. That's great. Great use of Rift Herald.
Yeah, Hillsing's even coming in to try and zone them off. They use the Maokai ultimate. They might be able to finish this, but Splyce did mobilize the defense right now. Can they save it? The answer is no. Unicorns breaking open tier 2.
I mean, I love it. Such a good use of the Rift Herald from Xerxes, getting the full value out of it. Gets this tier 2 tower, 4 towers to 0. Splyce are pushed so far back on the map that their minimap right now is the tier 2 towers and nothing else. They can't access their own jungle easily. They can't really push out lanes very easily. Like, they have no map control at all. And they need about 15, 20 minutes of just pure farming to actually start getting the advantage over Unicorns above. And by then, hopefully a Baron 2 will already have died, and Unicorns above will most likely have just finished the game.
Yeah, I mean, this is so impressive from this team right now. It is nice to see the growth, the fact that they can execute this type of composition. I mean, maybe you could argue, okay, maybe they've shown their hand a little bit. Playoff teams will know how to deal with them, but I feel like there is no preparing for the Unicorns of Love.
I mean, so in the past, I definitely agree that it's been really hard because they've had all these like cheesy picks, but they don't really do that anymore. And I actually feel like Unicorns of Love is one of the teams who's looked almost the same during the entire split. So you actually have been able to kind of predict a lot of things they're doing, both in the pick and ban phase and in game. And that's one of the reasons some teams last few weeks managed to punish them and actually beat them. Some of the teams saying, let's just draft better team fighting. Obviously, Unicorns are often kind of switching it around, saying, good, if you draft late game, we draft some early game. And then suddenly they're playing that style and succeeding with it. That is, of course, a new thing for Unicorns a lot, and great to see.
Yeah, the unpredictability now on this Unicorn side. The gold lead keeps on growing. Now, they are still keeping pressure in 2 out of 3 lanes, and of course, the Maokai, he just doesn't want to leave that jungle.
No reason. He's just always looking to go mid lane and try and flank them off and take something for Unicorns. But obviously, one of the counters for the teams looking at playoffs will be not drafting, pure scaling, like pure scaling.
It's okay, guys. We got late
on
game.
their side. Yeah, they definitely will have late game if they get there.
Oh, Kavi, he could be in trouble, but it looks like it's going to be Exile. That is. 3 members on him. Wasn't expecting that one, and the Winter's Bite is starting to sting. Exile can't make it out. They need one more.
Done.
Oh, that's it. Kavi.
They're not done. Maokai on the way.
All right, well, when the trees come in marching, you best go run in the other direction. And Samix, Hillisang, Xerxes were all there, but Splyce had managed to back away to the safety of the tower. Bit anticlimactic there.
Step 1 of Splyce's comeback. Get 1 kill. Succeed. Step 2, get a bit of farm on your carries. Still waiting for that one to happen.
Well, the Tristana got the kill. That's nice, right?
Very important. Very good.
He's only sitting on the BF and the Static Shiv right now, so the Tristana is not huge. 1 level behind on Samix.
I think also getting another blue trinket on Senkooks would be very valuable because Unicorns Love should have full pressure off the Baron, and you're trying to stop them from getting the Baron early. If you can delay them, you know, like 5, 6, 7 minutes, you buy yourself again more time to get like to 2 items, which is obviously much better for the scaling comp. So you really need tools to stop Unicorns from rushing down early Baron.
That is very true. The Unicorns, well, they have eyes on it right now. Are they really just going to start this?
They're checking for now.
No, okay. All right, I wasn't sure. You never know with the Unicorns of Love.
First you push your top lane and your mid lane, and then you can start looking at Baron baits. Underneath this top lane pushing for them. I believe Chachi is on the way, and Splyce, they're on a warding mission to see this Baron. They don't want to give it up this early on.
Yep. Some items coming in now, of course, too, for both teams. Nature's Tooth finally finished for Senkooks. On the other side for the Unicorns of Love, that Hurricane comes out for Samix. With the Essence Reaver, he's got 2 items still in his pocket, and we're still waiting to see what Chachi's going to be bringing, and Wonder, of course, has only been sitting on the Righteous Glory for now.
Let's see, Concentrate for Unicorns. Always a nice objective when you are
ahead.
ahead.
It's easy to take, yeah. There's no way to contest this, right?
No, definitely one of the best drakes when you're already ahead and you're about to take down Baron. A lot of wards from Splyce invested on top side to again try and spot the Baron setup.
That is... Yeah, that
defensive mode.
I mean, seriously, there is no spot in their own jungle that is unseen at the moment. But unfortunately, there are no Unicorns in that jungle.
It's fine, it's fine. Because now they're going to see Unicorns spend time going in to kill all these wards, buy them more time to get items. Again, step 2 is get more farm on these carries.
Isn't that how it always is when you're, like, you know, those crazy guys that are always hunting for like mythical animals? They put all the cameras in the woods,
Hope they
and then of course all the cameras go dead mysteriously.
Oh, and no one knows.
Yeah, it must be Unicorns taking them out.
I believe so. It is, of course, Unicorns hiding around the woods.
Now, we know there are at least 5 Unicorns here in Berlin.
And this one, they actually don't even want to go in there right now. They just want to...
No point.
They just want to start the Baron, force a team fight. It is still early. They don't have a guy who can actually tank it easily other than the Maokai. And he normally would be bot lane, but he has no TP right now. So Exile, of course, the TP can actually sit down there, so it's fine. Never mind what I just said. And Unicorns are love, hoping to find a pick on Splyce. But Splyce, they're playing a Unicorn style. They're 5-man mid lane.
So you're going to have to meet them, and I don't think they want to do that for sure.
Fun disc.
It's back.
This one actually will add a bit of value as well.
It's very healthy still.
Yeah, it's good.
Ticking down. I mean, the Unicorns is pretty much just preoccupied with pushing the lanes in the bottom and the top side. Of course, Splyce, they're moving to mobilize and defend really easily, and now we see the Unicorns marching into the jungle, placing traps, clearing wards.
Let's see how much time they're spending here, right? Buying Splyce even more time now to kill all these control wards. The moment they step out again, Splyce wants to go back in and put the control wards down again and then play the same little dance here, where we place defensive wards, you go in to stop Wonder, he wants to kill someone.
Yeah, he does. Been a little frustrated this game, the poor Cho'Gath. Not quite the same as what we saw with Chachi, but there's still plenty of time for that to happen. We're 23 minutes on the clock right now.
Oh, new control ward being
there
placed.
We go.
And right now, Unicorns of Love actually didn't get anything because they did kill a few wards, but they're just getting placed once again by Splyce, so no real advantage gained because Unicorns are still so early in the game, they don't feel confident just starting the Baron. They're still giving it a few minutes, and that should allow Splyce to get a second item on all the carries. We're still waiting for you, Senkooks.
Yeah, but at least Kabi, he finishes his Infinity Edge. I mean, that's an important thing for the Tristana to be able to grab. Like, this gives Splyce openings to try and take the fight to Unicorns after a horrible early game.
And that was a massive CS advantage for Exile in the laning phase. Right now, Senkooks are getting pretty close to the CS here on LeBlanc because he's just sitting far back on the map, constantly farming and pushing out the waves. And Unicorns are still just trying to be patient before they go for Baron. I keep repeating it, but it really is what they are looking for.
But I mean, how much of a window did that early game buy them, right? Like, there's still a decent amount of gold, but it's gonna even out though. At some point, you got to think that Splyce, when do they start feeling like they can just move in and muscle on the Baron?
I mean, that's gonna be a while before Splyce feel like they're the ones setting up for Baron, because it did buy a lot of time for Unicorns to get really far ahead in terms of items. So they should still be stronger in any sort of fight. But obviously, yeah, you gotta respect the scaling. Let's see, Exile's trying to create a pick here, but it's the Braum he's finding.
Little Sank throwing pillars. Keep on clearing out the vision here. Unicorns getting a little antsy.
New one comes down, so now you can go in and clear that one as well.
They're just feeding them gold.
Spend time on that, they are, but they're buying time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when you put gold into things, usually you get something out of it.
In this case, it's time, which is a weird thing to get, but I mean, I guess
that's worth.
People normally want items or something.
How do you value your time? Can you put a price on time, Deficio?
I don't know, can you?
I'm sure there's an exchange somewhere.
I don't know, Pyro. My time is worth nothing.
Well, the Baron's time is up. Or maybe not. We're going to turn for the fight instead.
Well, I actually think Unicorns are fine in terms of turning right here, but they need Splyce a little bit closer before they actually turn for the kills. They are back in the jungle, guys, and they're back in to clear the same wards that they just placed, that they just killed.
You are really excited for this.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's the same game until Unicorns feel confident enough to just fully commit to Baron. They are now 25 minutes. This is where we should get the big opening.
All right, let's see if they're going to fully commit to it. 2 members on. Now they're going to be bringing everybody, pulling them all back, but Splyce have to know something's happening. It's at half the health. They have the Mountain Dragon. They have a few level advantages, but they are just keeping the gaps covered. This is a 2-man Baron attempt. Xerxes will finally come in to provide some relief, and the Unicorns will secure it.
Like the setup here, use a few members to force Splyce away. The remaining can take down the Baron. This is where I would have loved to see the second blue trinket from Splyce to potentially spot this early on and see if they can actually move in and stop it as 5. But it is Unicorns of Love. They waited, they showed patience, and then they're like, okay, now is the time. 25 minutes, we can tank the Baron and we can actually kill it. So can't fault them for playing slower the last 5 minutes because they were just waiting for the right moment.
Yeah, once you get the prize, it really doesn't matter if it's taking you a little bit of time to do it. So 26, they have Baron buff to work with for now 3 more minutes. They have control of all 3 lanes. What can Splyce do to stop them? That's the question.
Farm some more or lose. That's it.
Those are your options, huh?
Hey, look, Pyre, it's an Ardent Sensor Trundle. Now, why would he do that?
You know, I seem to remember you describing this last game. Just in case anyone wasn't tuning in, do you want to go ahead and tell me the spiel again?
Let's do it again. So, Keystone, Stormborn Pact. When you apply CC, it puts a little debuff on the enemy target you CC. That means when you hit that target, or your teammates hit that target, you get healed. Ardent Sensor will then proc from that heal, meaning Trundle is actually giving Ardent Sensor to his entire team when they're hitting these targets that he already used CC on. So, Stoneborn Pact is your best friend. Ardent Sensor is your best friend. I guess you have 2 best friends now, that's fine.
That's okay, sometimes you gotta share.
Yeah, that's it.
Ardent Sensor, I feel like, is everybody's best friend.
It is at the moment. It is at the moment, that's very true.
Yeah.
I really hope people are abusing it in solo queue. It is a good way to gain a lot of LP.
How to get free low with Deficio.
Obviously, don't build it if you're not actually, useful with it. Like, AD carries,
There is a caveat.
Don't build Ardent Sensor if you're an AD carry.
Yeah, I don't think that would work so well. Your support might be a little happy.
I guess.
Nah, probably not.
I mean, you need to find some way to obviously... I guess you can use your heals.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Mickey.
You know what we've seen in LPL right now? We've actually seen support running heal as well and just rushing Ardent Sensor straight away. Super effective.
Interesting.
And then you just put like...
So, I mean, I guess the AD carry runs like Exhaust or something, right?
Yeah, Exhaust or Barrier or something like that. It's actually pretty smart.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But European teams are not picking that up just yet.
Wait till that becomes a little more mainstream, perhaps we'll see it happen. But for the time being, the Unicorns, they're keeping the pressure on. Once again, Splyce is forced back. It's a very different playstyle than what we saw in game number 1, but the results appear to be the same. Unicorns continuing to roll forward on the gold lead. Much lower action than we saw last time. And definitely a very clean execution of the early game has allowed them to do this.
I still can't believe we're watching a Unicorns of Love game where there's 2 kills at 28 minutes.
Yeah. I guess I have to eat my words from earlier because the last game was definitely a bloodbath, but Unicorn Dad did say they were going to play a perfect game, avoid all fights, so 53 minutes. Okay, in one game, they're doing it.
They have definitely been avoiding fights. They've been playing slow and steady, securing all the objectives. 0 towers right now for Splyce. No Drakes for them either. Unicorns of Love are actually playing this game in a completely new style compared to what we normally see from them.
Yeah, very, very, very different. And if you are tuning into the European LCS for the first time, you're like, I'm going to watch the Unicorns of Love, all this crazy stuff happening. This is not the game that you should probably draw your conclusions from. Unless this becomes the new normal for the Unicorns in the future, as they take themselves another Mountain Drake, they keep wailing away. That's a 10K gold lead. They just keep stacking it up.
We now have 2 items on Senkooks. Not able to go for early Rylai's for himself, not running attack speed boots either, which is definitely the best for his overall DPS. But instead going for tenacity because he was under so much pressure in the lane, and also against both LeBlanc and Nidalee.
So much pressure for both teams, to be honest. At the moment, remember, playoffs. They're both in, but the seeding is really, really critical right now, and Unicorns, they're looking like the better team, trying to contend for that first place seed.
Now they just got to be able to close out this game. 10,000 gold lead, double Mountain Drake. Exile's going to take the top lane tower. They just need to get an inhib down to open up the base. Make sure Splyce don't get too much time. Tristana is sitting on 3 items now, so you got to start respecting Copy. You can still laugh at Senkooks a little bit, but the Tristana was going to hurt.
Yep. However far back Splyce are pushed, they do still have scaling on their side. The team fighting, that is going to be their forte for this game, but that rapid fire cannon on the Tristana starting to help with that. And you can see he's starting to burn through Exile's health bar a little bit as he pushes the minions, but he dares not get any closer. Nice dodge. Throws the chains just onto the minion. Hillsang's here as well. Oh, Kabi. Quick hop, leap away. That's going to be enough to open up the tower, and Unicorns, they get number 6.
Yeah, good rotation. Push mid first. Join Exile in the side lane. Take down his tower. Now the hard part starts, where you need to take the enemy base. This is actually where a lot of teams normally just wait for second Baron. Take the second Baron and use that to get the inhibs down. It's perfectly fine to not close the game out on 1 Baron. You're allowed 2 Barons, and then if you have a 10,000 gold lead, you should have won by then.
Should have.
Yeah, after the 2 Barons and a 10,000 gold lead, you should win.
Yes. Let's see if they're able to accelerate that schedule just a little bit here. Mickey was looking unbreakable, but not nearly enough.
Whoa, another kill?
Yeah, we got our 3rd kill in the game. The action.
Wow! 1 kill each 10 minutes in this game. That is crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first 2 were within like the first couple of minutes, so then we had to go about 25 minutes.
Let's just pretend it happened at 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Okay, that is the official line. That's what we're sticking to.
We gotta wait 9 more minutes for another kill.
Well, unless Unicorns get a little antsy here. They have a line of minions, but there are a lot of Sand Soldiers here. In goes Exile, looking to delete Senkooks, but he's dodged away for the time being, and now the tower is open fire, but those soldiers are doing double time. Trashy, they're pushing the minions back, and that is going to be the end of the push for now on Unicorn's side.
All right, Unicorns not risking everything here, trying to kill the tower. They know Baron is spawning. That's gonna be the big one for them. They can do exactly the same as before, get the vision, have a few guys just zoning Splyce away, and then have Zaya and the Maokai try and take down the Baron. But at this point here, you've got to start respecting the 5-man group of Splyce, and you might not be able to do the same play where you can just zone them off. There's suddenly a lot of tankiness on Sejuani and Cho'Gath, and as we said earlier, damage on Copy. So at this point here, Splyce is starting to at least reach out and not 100% touch the comeback yet, but they're getting closer.
Yeah, and it's hard to say when there's such a gold deficit, but when you're dealing with scaling compositions, that's when things start to go in your favor. You start to stack the odds your way. And it's, you know, there really isn't anywhere to go but up at the moment, because if they get a fight, they start to grab themselves some towers. A lot of that standing gold gets picked up. The items get finished and accelerated faster. Like Unicorns,
I was going to say there's some shutdowns, but there's not, because there's only 2 kills for Unicorns, so that's not going to be worth a whole lot.
No, but the towers, those are big.
Towers is exactly what you want. They've barely hit any turret in this game. Let's see if there's going to be a fight in mid.
Okay, they were looking for Mickey X, but they decided not to commit on the Braum. Probably the smart decision. Pillar separates him out. They're still doing some poke damage, but they do not want to commit to the 5-man of Splyce. They go forward. The bullet is not going to land. And Samex dodges out a lot of the damage. Pulls in the feathers once again. Exile dealing with Senkooks on the backside. It's Chachi who draws first blood in this fight, taking down the support. Kabi is going to fall right after. 3 Splyce members stamped out by the Unicorns of Love, and it's going to be cleanup here as Xerxes is hunting down Trashy. Unicorns cleaning up, and they're looking for Wonder right here, and there's nowhere for that Cho'Gath to go. Pretty much back to the Fountain Express route.
By a bit of time, that's about it. Unicorns of Love, they're still so far ahead in this game. They can just take these teamfights here, shut down Splyce easily. Trashy, he all in for Samus, but Samus just ulted away and said, nope, I'm not dying today.
Unicorns were slippery enough to dodge out from the snakes. They get themselves the ace. That's more kills than we've seen this entire game, Deficio, and that is going to put a pretty bow on this series. Unicorns of Love cutting through one Nexus tower. Mickey with a desperate attempt to try and save on, but the hopes and dreams of Splyce trying to get that #1 playoff seed, those are starting to fall down the drain, and the Unicorns will show us a masterclass in the early game, trampling Splyce and shutting out this series.
Unicorns of Love just showed a great macro game. It was not focused around kills or team fights. It was Xerxes and Exile together getting a big advantage around the mid lane, shutting down the enemy jungler, and then using that to get the side lanes going. And Splyce didn't even look at a Unicorns of Love tower in this game.
I mean, that was incredible. The Unicorns of Macro showed their faces in game #2, and how about that, going from game 1 with the crazy bloodbath that we expected to game 2 a completely different face. That is one way to throw your opponents off.
Yeah, 100%. Splyce all in on the classic Unicorns of Love style, where it is just pure late game team fights.
Yeah.
They're all in. They literally could not have all in more with the amount of scaling on Splyce's side. And then the switch with the Nidalee completely caught them off guard, and they were just shut down so early in the game.
Yeah, I mean, what an incredible, honestly, bait and switch from the Unicorns of Love right now. And seriously, the strategies and pick and ban, the execution that we questioned, could it be done? The Unicorns, they stepped up to the plate and delivered.
And I think we question it with very, very, very good reasons, because we've seen them try this before, where it didn't work. Like some of the Elise picks, it backfired. But obviously this was less about ganking and more about Xerxes just getting a massive advantage over Trashy. That was obviously what he was going for, but still also a lot of praise to Exile in the mid lane. This LeBlanc here, he's able to play much safer due to the mobility, and he shut down Azir in the mid lane, which allowed Xerxes to play more aggressive, because Exile had pressure in the mid lane, something he's not always been able to provide for his jungler.
Right, yeah, and honestly, across 2 games, he had a very specific role. He filled it very well. He hardly died, which honestly is always going to be a big improvement when we can say that about Exile. So the Unicorns, they did every job they needed to clean out that series. And now
Shibi, he doesn't understand.
Oh yeah,
He can't believe it.
What just happened?
Like,
no, but seriously, like I'm almost at a loss for words too. But you know one thing, Week 10, H2K Unicorns to close out the regular split. That is going to be one hell of a series now. Might just very well determine the first seed.
I mean, it should at this point determine the first seed. Splyce looks like the team getting 3rd place in Group B. Suddenly sitting there and looking at G2 or Fnatic in that quarterfinal.
You don't want that.
But that's what happens when you lose this head-to-head game here against Unicorns of Love. And obviously Splyce also lost to H2K a few weeks ago. And then if you start losing to the teams just around you, well, obviously you're going to end under them in the standings. So Splyce, tough spot for them to be in. But Unicorns of Love, great series from them, showing team fighting in the first one, and then actually a very clean game in the second one.
Yeah, and I think one player that especially stood out, we talked about him quite a lot, especially in game #1, it's got to be Xerxes, because this guy was struggling during Rift Rivals, struggling after Rift Rivals, but in 2 games, Kayn, Nidalee, and he does exactly what he needs to do, both times.
Exactly. I really like to see him here on this Nidalee, like surprised he picked it, but really good performance from him, understanding his role to perfection, didn't try and like over gank anything, didn't just sit and farm his own jungle. No, he was really active on the map, got a big advantage over the enemy jungler and used that so well. So super cool to see him show up in this series, and obviously the kind of player that Unicorns need in playoffs if they're going to make it all the way to the final. They need Xerxes in peak form.
Yeah, and he certainly was pulling out some serious surprises in that series. I mean, all the Unicorns, impressive performance. Kudos to them.
I agree, Pyra.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, after that series, let's go ahead and check out some of the highlights from here in week #9. Here are your LCS big plays, brought to you by Acer. Now, we've seen a lot of good Gnar plays this split, a lot against the wall, and week 9 was definitely no exception. Expect had some huge ultimates up against Misfits Gaming, and according to G2's coach Youngbuck, Gnar is pretty broken.
Knows he's there. Misfits waiting for their opportunity. Know that they have to contest this one.
There's a Kalista. Misfits, you gotta go.
Need to go now. They're just going to be able to take
Okay.
it. Instant pickup from Spen. G2 have the Baron, but Misfits are looking for the fight. Kitty Cats are coming out. Perk's potentially in trouble in the backline, but will get peeled out. Mithy is saving everybody. Spen is still alive. The flash, the shield. He is still... There's nothing you can do. G2 are ripping through Misfits right now. No chance to win that fight.
Oh, it's not over. They want Power Vivo.
Moving forward, one more clockwork windup. Ignar gonna make it out with a grand entrant. Getting lower and lower. Enough spears in there maybe to secure the engage. Shockwave comes in. Maxwell looking for the fight. Kitty Cats come out, and now the fight has started. Meganar on the way, and that's 2 knocked into the wall. Expect gets everything he wants in the exchange. Sven untouched on the back line. He is looking for the Superman impression. Still alive as they move forward. Goodbye, Han Sama. Goodbye, Misfits.
I don't know, Young Bucks said Gnar is broken, but I actually do believe that Expect corrected him and said, no, Expect is broken.
Well, he certainly
and
looked
that's
like
why
it.
it was so successful.
Yeah, now that wasn't the only one, obviously. Now, Fnatic, they took down Rocket yesterday, and it was a rough game, too, for Yarnan, who got locked down with a perfect CC chain in game number 2. Let's take a look.
Fnatic, that TP came down, and they swarmed.
Yes.
They absolutely swarmed. No confusion on what to prioritize. All right, Dark Binding finds Yarnan, gets caught by the shell, barrels backwards as well. Man, that chain CC is... Oh, I hate this word. It's disgusting.
Definitely disgusting. But you know what else is?
He got hit by long-range binding. It's his own fault.
Yeah, and another thing that's pretty disgusting. Few things are scarier than this in League of Legends. It's a Fed Tristana and versus the Ninjas in Pajamas. Han Sama pulled out the big guns in a key team fight. So let's take one look at that.
That 4th item on Caitlyn, and he's arriving! Hiku's putting the damage down, as Shook is the target. Alfari moves forward looking for the Gnar. Hiku continuing to kite backwards. Stood on top of the blue trinket, vision available on him. But the bomb should take profit out. That will give Han Sama a reset. He can hop forward. Rocket jumps into the pit, finds a second, looking for the range, looking for that empowered auto. Sprotle, that's the triple. Another rocket jump forward. Han Sama, buster shots onto Hiku. That's the quadra kill for Han Sama!
Han Sama coming up huge. NIP have been aced.
Holy moly, man, when you get to those resets and you just keep going again and again and again, you start to feel like a Kha'Zix at that point. You're just hopping on everybody and stomping them.
Just give 3 items to Tristana every game, and you're going to get fights like this one. You just got to get there first. That's kind of the problem.
That is always the hard part. Now, that'll do it from us here at the Cast Desk. Let's hear from UOL's coach and top laner for more on that series.
Thank you very much, gents. Yes, I am joined by Vizichachi and Sheepy. First and foremost, congratulations on the 2-0. I want to start by talking to Sheepy and ask you, how is it that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde come out from Unicorns of Love? We get the most UOL game ever in game 1. Just ARAM it down mid, rely on Chachi feasting someone for a win. And then all of a sudden you show us the beautiful macro game. How and why does that happen?
I think that in game 1 we just went for our usual style with like a bit of team fighting, a little bit of strength fear. But game 2 they picked so strong team fighting with Braum, Sejuani, Shogath, and I think Azi and stuff that we just felt we can snowball there early into mid game and then just snowball from there because our team fighting them at this point just becomes too hard. 1-3-1 is also kind of hard. So yeah, on the fly we were like, okay, then let's pick Nightly and just go with the early game.
There's a sentence I never thought I'd hear the Unicorns of Love say. Out team fighting them is too hard. Vizichachi, how different is shot calling and communication in comparison game 1 to game 2?
I think we talked a lot in both of the games because we needed to shot call all the time what we do with the certain waves. But I think game 2 was like the more intense one because we need to kind of play it out perfectly. Because we give them one opportunity, they have really good engage through Sejuani, the Azir ult shuffle. So we needed to respect them a lot and play it out kind of perfectly.
The game 2 macro, the map play, near flawless, something that I don't normally attribute to UOL. Vizichachi, is that because of the opponent's Splyce? Or is it because you guys can now add this to your skills or have this ability that we're hopefully going to see more?
I think the opponent doesn't really matter. Like, if you are so far ahead in every lane that you can just push them in, then I think you can do whatever you want on the map and go for deep vision and slowly take the turrets if you rotate around, and the opponent doesn't really matter.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing if that's true next week as well. Sheepy, the last 2 weeks has been a bit tough for the team. 2 wins, 2 losses. You know, taken down by Roccat and Fnatic, and now adding a win, Mysterious Monkeys, and of course Splyce. what's been happening in the camp, the casters, the general tone of viewers is that we're getting worried for UOL, a team that was the best in Europe at the beginning of the split.
I think that was justified, or is still justified. We still have to show like more consistency, but what we're slowly getting is a really good sense what to do in the game. And if we're having more early game tools, we're doing the stuff we want to do just easier and quicker. And I think that now we're getting to the point where people just know, and we don't have to. It kind of felt sometimes like we're catching after like the shadow of what we want to do, and we're like 10 seconds late here and 10 seconds late there. And I think against high pressure, more high pressure teams, it gets harder, or like if the enemy is like contesting that. But I think right now the way we played today was a really, really good sign and really strong sign. And I hope that the practice we can have is exactly the same or a little bit harder. So we're getting ready for playoffs. And if we have showings like today, I think then we're pretty much set.
I hope so too. It looks like H2K and UOL both peaking at the same time. Does that make you scared, Vizichachi? H2K next week, you guys still have a shot at first place, but it depends on how cleanly either of your teams win both of your last series.
Yeah, they look to be in prime position as well, and they are playing really good nowadays. So this is definitely a series I'm looking forward to. And I think this year we managed to beat them 3 times, the last 3 times we met, so I'm looking forward for a 4th time.
Look, ooh, I like the confidence. Of course, you guys will also be playing Vitality next week. H2K will be playing Mysterious Monkeys. The game difference between your teams is +12, now +8. So I'm going to ask a slightly different question. Which team is more likely to drop a game? H2K to Mysterious Monkeys or UOL to Vitality?
I think that's a hard one. I don't think that, I don't know. I think it's equally likely. I think that I don't see H2K really dropping a game to Mysterious Monkeys. And I don't think Vitality right now is performing too well. So yeah, I think it's just equally unlikely. I think no team should drop a game, but if it was to happen, I hope it is H2K.
Just a few more questions before we move on, Sheepy. Between yourselves and H2K, what is the linchpin that will determine who wins that series?
I think it's really difficult to say. I think that from our scrims and from how personally we play against H2K, I think we have a really, really good shot. And I'm not really sure what H2K is doing specifically strong. I think we're kind of the same in that regard, that they're just like strong team. They don't have like one particular thing that just makes them. So yeah, I think it's gonna just be a super interesting and competitive game. But if we are performing like we are performing and just improve through practice, then I think we have a really, really good shot.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. One last question, Vizichachi. You guys made finals in spring. You guys are potentially going to make semi-finals if you take down H2K next week and things go in your favor. What are you going to do to make sure that Unicorns play like they did today next week?
That is true that we have really high ups and really low downs, and we are kind of like this team that can just do very well or very badly on the day. So I guess we just have to try to do the same that we did this week,